Welcome everybody at the Business Agility Boost live on LinkedIn. Be careful what you wish for because it may come true. I will never forget these words of my mentor 6 years ago when I was part of a leadership program. I just defined my purpose and was writing my action plan. And guess what? He was right. From the first day after this program, I walked a different path. I became part of a global transformation team of the financial company I worked for back then, and we spread the agile mindset around the globe. I started speaking at conferences and wrote my book Purpose Driven People. And I founded Twingster. And with Twingster, we support organizations to ignite new ways of working and thinking, and we help leaders and employees develop the aspired behavior and mindset. And maybe more important, to develop the skills and capabilities to lead their own people centric transformation, all driven by purpose. Because we believe that people and purpose should be at the core of everything we do. And because purpose makes the difference between surviving and thriving. And for us, it is the way forward to transform lives and businesses for good. So it will not be a surprise that during this live Business Agility Boost, we dive into the topic, the power of purpose. And I'm not on my own on this quest. Today we have a special guest, Alberto Gonzalez Otero, founder of Just on Purpose. He is a leader and entrepreneur who believes in purpose as the driving force for positive change for leaders, teams, and organizations. He learned what it takes to be a good leader and build a successful and high-performing team, even under the most high pressure and challenging situations. Today, he runs online and on-site leadership programs, workshops, and organizes retreats to help his clients develop their purpose. Their why they wake up every morning. Welcome, Alberto. I'm very excited to have you as our special guest.
Well,
And
thank
now,
you. Thank you. Sorry for inviting me, Alice. Yeah, very good and happy to be here.
yeah, we are very happy you are here, and we love to hear your story because you have a lot of experience in developing purpose, and not only your personal purpose, but especially also helping leaders in developing their purpose and also the team purpose. And everyone who is in here in the live event, please raise your questions in the chat so we can answer them. And we have around 30 to 40 minutes. So we shall speed up and to give the word to Alberto. Alberto, you help leaders craft their purpose, but do you also have your personal purpose?
Yeah, of course. I have it very clear. So my purpose is to help others, and that's my what I say. I call it my core purpose. And basically, how I do it is by helping organizations, leaders, and teams uncover their purpose. So that's my work purpose. And so I have two purposes. One is the core one, and then the other one is how I deliver on my purpose.
Yeah, but it was a whole journey, yeah, as I believe, when I spoke to you already before, because it's not the first time, because you started, I think, with selling books, and
Yeah,
then you developed your career. But please explain, how did you come to what you are doing today?
yeah. I often say that I am the worst person to get advice from because I didn't follow my purpose for many years, for 20 years. Um, but it's a long story. But I basically, when I was younger, I wanted to be something else, and then my father didn't like the idea, and then I had to study something, and he didn't like the idea that I had to become a teacher, sports teacher either. So I had to do something else, and in the end, I made choices, without actually willing to make those, but kind of more forced to do something. and in the end, I had a bachelor degree, check. Then I had to do a master's because, of course, I had to do a
Mhm.
master's, and I did as well. And then in the end, I just wanted to work. And the first job I found, which is another story, another long one, because they lied to me and everything. But I was selling encyclopedias door to door, and I did that for almost a year. So that was my first work experience after my studies.
Yeah. And when did you then decided to change your journey? Because you had a lot of different roles, from within sales, directors functions. You helped startups and scale ups. And what made you decide that you started to help companies or leaders and leadership teams to develop their purpose? What was the thing that you
Yeah, well,
saw?
I think I already decided I wanted to change the first day I had to sell books. uh, but it took me 20 years to know what I really wanted to do, and why, and could I change. Huh? So, the thing is, I never thought about having a career in sales, but I was good at selling. And then I went from one company to another, a better one, better job, better company, every time like that. And I like many components of sales and selling, but I don't like many as well. So I always had this kind of struggle, to know, what I really want to do, and also if I knew, well, how can I make that change? Because the more experience you have doing something, well, that's who you become, right? And people know
Mhm.
you, okay, Alberto, the sales guy, the sales director, or whatever. So it gets more and more difficult. And but so it was a long journey. I had different sources of inspiration, which I normally also share in my work, at different points of time. And in the end, at some point, I knew I wanted to be on my own, have my own company, but I didn't know, doing what. um, and then through that inspiration, thanks to all these things, I put everything together, and I made kind of my own methodology, exercise, to help me uncover my own purpose.
Yeah.
So I was kind of my first client, and then from that I had more clarity on what I wanted to do, and then I got, I looked for the opportunity to start doing it. Basically, I took action, and then I started, and that was like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Nice. And you explained already. Yeah, you developed your own methodology. For the people who know Alberto or follow him on LinkedIn, you also post about the journeys you have with leaders and what you do. Can you explain a bit about your methodology? What you do? What is, for instance, the first start? Because the journey to finding your purpose, whether it's a personal purpose or team purpose, that's really a journey. It's not something you craft in one day. Can you explain a bit about that?
Yeah. I think there are, several components. I think it's not that much about the specifics of the methodology, or I ask people questions, and I ask them to write down the answers, and things like that. But it's more about, first of all, taking the time to properly think about this and reflect on these things, right? Because most of the people think about their purpose, so what I want to do with my life and all these things, when they are maybe going to work by car, or commuting, or by bike, or whatever, and then they get to the office, and then it's, okay, busy with meeting, and they don't think anymore, right? And they have these thoughts in mind every day, every week, several times probably, but they never do anything with those, right? So the
Mhm.
first part of the methodology is to help people, disconnect from that, take the time, and then be committed to work on that. And then it is a journey. It's not the same for everyone, but I have to say, I like to make things quite simple. Some people say, you require months or even a year or more to find your purpose and all these things. And I think it might be the case, but I think that you can make a lot of progress also in a couple of hours, and at least have some clarity already, and then start taking steps towards that, and then get more clarity, and in that process you will be happier, probably more fulfilled with what you do. So I do different kinds of work, but mostly is asking people different questions, writing things down, the answers, and then try to see links, or things that come up a bit stronger in that exercise, and helping them see them, because sometimes and often you don't see these things yourself, because you are too involved with yourself, and sometimes it helps that an external person has a look at those as well.
Yeah, I think that's interesting what you say, also about we often do not see that a kind of experience we had in the past maybe influences of what we do today, and that it made a huge impact, and that and if that is a positive experience, that you want more of that, and that is also part of your purpose, of crafting something you are aiming for in the future, because purpose is something of the future. But we need to start today, because yes, we cannot go from the cellar to the attic at once. Is there something in your program there what also helps them to stay on track? Because that's a really difficult one. If we once are at work again, then we do the things as we always did.
Yeah, no, that's the most difficult part, right? So it's the same with just other types of consulting, or coaching. I think the first steps to find out about what you really want to do, or what kind of maybe project you want to take on, and things like that. That's the easier part in a way, even though it's not easy. But then putting that into action and being consistent, that's the tricky part, because you are always influenced by different people that require things from you, and fears that you have that maybe prevent you from following your purpose. So yes, it depends on the customer, depends on the company, and the program. Sometimes I do just like keynotes, things that are more inspirational, and the meaning of that is more to spark that inspiration within the audience. But that's 30 minutes, 1 hour, and sometimes I do programs that are several months, and then I work with them different sessions, different types of sessions as well, and that helps obviously to put it into action, but also to make it a habit, to think about purpose not just once, or for a few days or a couple of days at the beginning, but then 3 months from now or 6 months from now, when you are about to make a decision, that you automatically think about, okay, how is it going to be, if I take the decision, let's say A, how is that going to impact my my purpose? It's going to be a positive impact or a negative, is aligned with that or not? And if I take the option B, how is going to
And then Alberto was gone. I think he lost connection. Yeah, there you are again, Alberto.
something happened here.
We did not, something happened, and we did not hear the last part of it. But what I'm also curious about is when I talk about purpose with organizations or teams or people personally, then I also sometimes get the question, but purpose is really a one-liner and it's very vague, maybe also a bit of greenwashing. How do, and there is also, from leaders, they also have, of course, the push from stakeholders and the push from investors to make profit. So how can purpose and profits go hand in hand?
Yeah, sorry, I think I don't know, the connection probably dropped. It's this of the live things of the live sessions, but hopefully it doesn't happen anymore. But
did you hear the question, Alberto?
Yeah. So that is it's a fluffy thing for some people, greenwashing, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
then the last part of it I missed, but
Yeah,
well,
yeah, and there are also, of course, companies, leaders, board of directors. They also have the push from their stakeholders and the pressure from the investors to make profit. So
yeah,
how can both go hand in hand? Because
yeah.
mostly then profits will excel.
Well, it's not just maybe us. We work with this, and of course, what we are going to say. But there are a lot of different, research companies that did research, like McKinsey or PwC, EY. They have the business case, for example, for purpose-driven companies. There is a lot of research done in this area that proves that actually companies with a clear purpose outperform other companies in the same industry by 42% was one of the data points,
Yeah.
for example, in one of the studies. So in the end, that's one thing, and I think if you have a clear purpose, it might take longer. That's the thing. It might take a bit longer, but you will generate more profits because it's all quite easy to understand. If you have a clear purpose and you hire people and you have people at the company that are aligned with that, and they feel part of of the organization, they feel their work is meaningful, and they make an impact on something that is important to them, they will be happier and more committed, more productive, and they will bring better results, and that's pretty much it. And then the second part is the greenwashing thing, and of course, yeah, now it's very trendy, the purpose thing, and many companies feel the need to have a purpose, and I often say that it's exactly the same what happened like around 15 years ago with the mission, vision, and values, right? So some companies started leading the way, defining those vision, mission, values, and putting them into action, and actually really living those, right? And then
Yeah.
that was very cool. So many organizations had the kind of the need of having kind of the same to attract people and to retain people. But the problem with that is that now most of the companies have this defined. You go to companies, they have this on the wall, but then when you speak to the people working there, they don't. You ask them, well, what are the values of the company? Well, I don't know. I don't remember those. You're like, honesty, and I don't know, but we don't really see those here, right? And that's a common feeling in many, many organizations, and that's the problem, because okay, defining them because you have to, that's one thing. The other thing is doing it properly, and only a few companies do it, and that's the reality. But the same is with purpose, and it's happening exactly the same. Many more and more companies define a purpose, have a purpose statement, very beautiful. And the reality, when do you get there and you talk to employees, well, they don't feel aligned with that, and they still have even bigger frustrations and issues because they realize, well, this is not the place I want to be at.
Yeah, that could be, because purpose can also make that you want to move in another direction. And I see also that on screen, purpose is real. It's not fluffy. It's our essence. Purpose-driven outperformed competitors 12-1. Wow, yeah, that's also
That's,
someone who
that's
believes in purpose. I also believe, I'm a big believer of purpose. But what you say is that some organizations, they have defined the purpose, the values, the mission, the vision, the principles, but it's not clear for everyone. What if you help teams or organizations to define their purpose? How do you make sure or help them that they bring it further in the organization?
That's a very good question. I think one of the essential things that needs to happen is to incorporate purpose to the KPIs of the company. Because if it's not measured, if it's not, okay, it's fine, it's a sentence on the wall, then people tend to forget, because when they come to work, what the leaders ask them It's about, okay, how much revenue we are getting this month or this quarter, how much cost we have, at the
Mhm.
finance department. What's our cost of recruitment to the HR, or the talent acquisition team. So all these things that are actually, actual KPIs at most of the companies are very good, and you need to track them to have a sense of a feeling how your company is doing. Well, the same applies to purpose, and so you can actually incorporate some indicators, questions about their engagement, how they feel connected to the company, how they feel they are making an impact on something that is, important to them and the company wants to make an impact on. And if you can measure that, and you can just look at the data and have some KPIs as well and track them, and then people will know that this is this is something that the leaders at the company care about,
Mhm.
and you are measured about the same thing. They raise your salary, depends on how well you perform in certain things. Well, maybe they can measure how much impact do you make by doing your work, and
Yeah.
in society and the world and others. And then maybe your salary compensation can be also depending on that, as an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, yeah, nice example. And what we also saw in screen, you made it clear, walk the talk, because it's
Yeah.
not something that you just uh, spread in your words, but also and mostly in your doing and showing and behaving like that. So set the example. Yeah, and also embedded in everything you do. So in the total employee journey, the customer journeys, um, make it happen, and every time go back to that. I know that you also had a session with a team where you talked about decision making. How does having a purpose help you to make better decisions?
Well, it helps a lot, because when you are, and it's related to what I said before, right? When you're about to make a decision, you think about, okay, why we need to make a decision at all, right? In the
Mhm.
first place, is this aligned with our purpose, what we want to do as a company or as a team within the company? And if so, okay, then let's make a decision, and then you can just see how that decision is going to impact, or how aligned is going to be with your purpose, and take it into consideration before making that decision. So really, it really helps, because we often get confused about many different things, and we have meetings that are totally unnecessary, for example, that have nothing to do with our purpose at
Mhm.
all, but we still have them because it is very, it's very easy for us as humans to be busy with something and to get busier and busier. But sometimes, not all the work we do is actually meaningful or aligned with what the company really wants to do, or our team should be doing. So I think that's, asking why you do the things you do. That's you do things on purpose,
Mhm.
right? So knowing why you should do it, it
And then Alberto froze, knowing why you do things. I'm not sure. I hope he
I'm
will come
sorry,
back.
my
Yeah,
internet
you are back
provider is
again.
probably doing not that well.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe it's too warm. Hey, you don't know. But we were talking about decisions, knowing why you do the things you do. So what you also basically say is that embedding purpose in everything you do. Do you hear me, Alberto, or not? No, I think for all our watchers, the audience, that Alberto lost the connection, and that's really a pity because he has maybe now he comes back. He tried again.
Sorry about
Ah,
sorry
no,
about that. My
no,
I didn't
you
pay
are.
I didn't pay the internet provider maybe, and they are cutting it. I just
So they did that on purpose, you think?
probably. I don't know what's
Today
happened to
you
the
are in
router.
our live session and now we cut the connection.
Now I'm connected to a different Wi-Fi, so it should
Okay.
work. Hopefully.
Yeah. No, that can happen, and that's also, I think, the nice thing of having a live session, and also a bit experiencing how that works, and how we can be interrupted. Um, but you were already explaining that it's about embedding your purpose in everything, asking yourself, not only the leaders, but also in the teams, how can you connect everything to the purpose of your organization? How can you as a team contribute to that purpose and embed it in everything you do? So also think about the to-do lists. Is it really valuable and for whom? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Do
true.
you have maybe a company you worked with or other companies what you really find a great experience of how they live their purpose, not only telling the story, but really live their purpose?
Yeah, I didn't work with them. They did many great things without me, and that's Patagonia. Obviously,
Oh yeah, of course.
everyone knows them and all these. That's a stereotype. There's also Brompton in the UK, or Hyatt Denim, which is a jeans company, also in the UK. Tony Chocolonely. These are the well-known guys. But for example, there's another well-known company. I just did some work with them last week, and that's the kind of work you referred to before, and it's IKEA.
Yeah.
Um, and IKEA, I think for me, and helping them with their purpose and all these things as well. But it is a company that they do have a clear purpose, and they actually put it into action. They live that purpose, and you really feel it in this atmosphere. And when you get to the backstage of the IKEA store, and even as a customer, if you get there, you also feel it, that the people there feel good there, and they treat you
Mhm.
well, and they it's not because they force it, it's because there are many things behind the scenes that we don't see, that are for the employees to believe they are making an impact with the work they do.
Yeah.
And I clearly, that's, it's on top of my head, because I just did some work with them last week. So IKEA is
Yeah,
it's
nice.
a very good one.
Yeah, so you were also behind the scenes. Can you see what they do behind the scenes about what is related to the purpose? Can you tell something about it if that is allowed? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can tell about things that I did with them to uh, to remind people about the purpose of IKEA and the purpose of their work and things like
Mhm.
that. And for example, last week I was in two different projects, and one was with one store, and basically I did like 6 sessions, short sessions, to help people, you know, realize the meaning of their daily work. And
Mhm.
was a continuation of a different session I did with the whole store as well back in October last year, where I did a workshop which is called Uncover Your Purpose. So to
Yeah.
inspire people, to say, okay, what's purpose? Why can be very important for you, and how can you start uncovering yours? So that's something that I do very often. So I did these sessions with them in October. The sessions last week was a continuation of that, and basically, for example, we had a mural there,
Mhm.
and then they had to come up uh, with with a purpose statement, and they put it on the post-it, and I'll post on LinkedIn about it. I'll have some pictures and some
Yeah.
videos, but there was it is a mural full of post-its with uh, people's purpose. And that's one thing I was doing with them, and basically also a different project, which is with a management team, and I've been working with them for the last 6 months. and I was doing sessions to help them become a better team and a high
Mhm.
performing team. But we started with with purpose, and what was the purpose of the team. So we defined their purpose as a team, but also as individuals, and then the alignment between those. And then throughout the journey, we always talked about purpose as well, but then we also cover different things like, decision making or conflict management or other important things for
Mhm.
teams. But
Yeah.
the same thing is always with purpose in mind. And if you have clarity on that, then the rest of the work is easier.
Yeah, yeah. And does it then also help, for instance, for teams that in teams we see that people have their job functions and they do the work related to their role or their function. But if you know your purpose, then also other talents come to the surface, which are not always described in your role. How do you experience that? Do you see that in teams and that they make use of it, that that's really a benefit, or what's your experience with that?
I think the one of the benefits of doing these things and these sessions with teams about purpose is because they well, is that they get to know each other a bit better at a deeper
Hmm.
level, and that
Yeah.
creates more trust, and that basically creates a better team dynamics as well. And then people feel safe, and then if they feel safe, they bring their talents more to the scene as well, right, into the team. So I think it's all interconnected,
Hmm.
and I think that's the way that the purpose can help to people, for people to realize each other's strengths and
Hmm.
try to bring them to the team to for a common purpose, right? A common goal and goals
Yeah.
and purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also of high value that they create the purpose of the team together. So they all, yeah, agree on what they are aiming for. I think that's also a real benefit, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the mistakes, I would say mistake of traditional management teams when articulating or defining their purpose as a company is that they do it on their own and they
Hmm.
don't involve anyone else, right? It's okay. The management team, they go to a nice place, like I bring this management team to the mountains or whatever, or at the office, right? And they stay a couple of days together and they define it, and that's okay what they believe the purpose of the company is. But I think it's always a good practice to ask people
Yeah.
uh, to see how they see it and what they think about it. And
Hmm.
even if you have a lot of employees, you can ask different questions, do a survey, and analyze that data, and then use that data to support your session with the management team, and then come with something that is not gonna, you know, be aligned with everyone in the company, but probably with the majority. And then when you announce it, you communicate this, then people feel more connected to that, and they were part of the process. They feel appreciated and valued because they had something to say, and that's important to engage with employees.
Yeah, so that they also recognize what the final purpose statement will be and the values and the principles. Yeah, that's real power, I think, of crafting your purpose together. Yeah, and we
Mhm.
see a nice question, and I almost do not dare to pronounce the name,
Inigo,
but
it's
I'm gonna try. Maybe you can do that better because I do
yeah,
not
it's
want to do it
Inigo. It's
wrong.
Inigo
Inigo.
Sanchez
Yeah,
Cabezudo, and he's in Washington, D.C., and he's
cool.
also a purpose enthusiast. So we know each other. So
Yeah,
it's just a
but
friend.
he has the question: how can we build the habit of redirecting ourselves to check with our purpose constantly?
But I think it's what we mentioned before, right? As repetition is how something become a habit. In the end, I often use this example of going for a run.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't like running. I never did. I always played football, and running was the worst part
Yeah.
of playing football. uh, but at some point in my life, I didn't have much time, and running was the only thing I could do to try to stay a bit fit. And but I hated it. And but I forced myself to do it, and then at some point, I didn't think about the activity itself, like running. I have to run, but I felt more like, okay, I'm gonna go into nature. I often go to the beach or to the dunes, and run there. It's time for myself. I disconnect, I relax, and then I feel better afterwards. And then I come up with probably the best ideas I have for my business. Well, I have in them when I'm running or exercises in nature.
Mhm.
So that became my purpose for running. I forgot totally about the activity of running, and then became a habit as well. But it's about commitment. If you are a goal setter, you put some goals there to help you be consistent, and
Mhm.
then you go for it and start doing it, and at some point it will become a habit, and then you will automatically think about, hey, yeah, what is the purpose of this? you know
Yeah.
um, if I get a customer request now, for example, for some work, I always think about, is this really aligned with what I want to do as a company or as
Yeah.
a business? And if not, I say, yeah, sorry, but maybe I'm not the best person to help you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's also very powerful, I think. Maybe also a bit scary sometimes, but powerful to make that decision and be clear on that. And then your purpose and going back to your purpose really helps. Yeah, I saw also that Ballas mentioned the bottom up aspect is super important. I know some companies who really also crafted their purpose together, and one of them also they are working with visual management Obea, and they have everything uh, in one room. So with everything they do, their quarterly business reviews and all meetings they have their purpose and the values and principles clear on the wall. So everyone will be reminded when they make a decision. So I think that's very powerful if you can go that far. Yeah,
That also helps. So I,
yeah,
for example, for a client, I printed their purpose. I
yeah,
printed that and I put it into a frame, and I gave a frame to each person of the management team to put them on their desk and then
yeah,
see it every morning. And that also can help
yeah,
not to forget. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. To visualize and make it clear.
Yeah.
And act on it. I know that you need to go in 3 minutes. If you have some advice, and please also, everyone who's watching, if you have a question, this is your moment to raise it. But if you could give advice to leaders, employees who are watching, um, what would you advise them now to start with?
I think many things, but I would say that, put yourself in the shoes of your people, and ask them just one simple question: why you come here every morning to work for us, for this
Mhm.
organization? And then maybe, then you will see what people think, and make it anonymous if you want, make a survey, and then you will really see why people come to work every day. And then the problem is that, we are many hours working. Also, the leaders at companies are also working many hours and
Yeah,
stressed, and sometimes they question themselves why they do the things they do. So asking yourself, why I do what I do, right? And sending that question to everyone in the company, and then based on the results, maybe you know if you're doing the right things or not, or if you need to change something.
yeah, thank you. I think that's a very important question to ask. Why do you come every morning to your work? Why do you do the things you do? And start asking those questions, and then maybe later on also help them craft their purpose if they don't know, because that can also be the case. Yeah,
Many people don't realize, and that's what I notice in my work a lot. They are doing a job, and that's a job, and that's it, and they
hmm,
get paid, and that's it. But when you help them to realize, okay, what is the impact of what you do every single day here?
hmm,
Normally everyone makes an impact, right? Bigger, smaller, but everyone makes an impact, and this can be positive or negative, bigger or smaller. But it's good to help people realize that what they do is important, that makes an impact, hopefully positive, on something, others, their colleagues, the planet, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That is not just a job and they get paid, but well, while they are working for you at that company, they are a part of that positive impact. And I think if you are able to do that, people will feel more connected, engaged, and happier and more fulfilled, and you yourself as a leader as well. So
Yeah,
it's,
so it's both ways. Yeah, and to create more purpose at work and personally. And sometimes you can also find your purpose outside work. But it would also be great if you can have your purpose at work, because today we also see a lot of people who resign or had the quiet quitting, people who are not engaged. So why is that the case? And maybe it has to do something with giving meaning to work and the workplace. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And you mentioned something. You asked me at the beginning that what do you do with with companies and all this, or with leaders,
Yep.
and I always tell everyone that I work with that they are gonna die.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I have a very beautiful slide which is very black, right? And then you're gonna die in the middle, and that really helps to put people, to confront people, and to help people realize. And I have some other things that complement that, but basically, yeah, that's a certain thing. And then you spend, a third of your life, if no more, working. Well, if you really know what you really want to do, then maybe you can take steps to do that more, or more often, or sooner, and then feel happier, more fulfilled with with your life and what you do. So
Yeah. Thank
that's all
you.
from my side.
Yeah. I know your slide, your black slide.
Yeah,
Everyone is going to die. So
yeah.
I've seen it before. And maybe that's also a good slide to think about this evening when you watch this live session together with Alberto. Yeah, how do I want to be reminded, and when is my life meaningful at the end of the journey?
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Alberto, for sharing all your insights and helping us to give meaning to purpose, because that's also important, not to greenwash, but really give meaning to purpose. If people want to approach you, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn, which my name is a bit difficult, Alberto González Otero, but and
Yeah,
also on the website, justonpurpose.com,
yeah.
and yeah, they can find me there.
Okay, then I thank you so much, and I wish you a great evening. At least you live in the Netherlands, so have a wonderful evening. For other people who are in a different part of the world, have a great day, evening, where you are, and send us some messages. If you still have questions, then we also try to answer them afterwards. And thank you for watching, and thank you, Alberto, for being here, and we keep in touch.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you to everyone who joined the call and the session, and hopefully it added some value to you today. So see you around. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Alberto. And for the ones who now think I really love to craft my purpose and start with that, you see a banner underneath. Next week, we have a free purpose challenge in which we help you craft your purpose, your personal purpose, and start with that. You can find it on twingsteracademy.com. And I wish you all a very wonderful evening or day. Thank you for watching.